This is Times Square in Manhattan, New York. Manhattan is located in the north of New York City, geographically on the edge, but its southern side is densely packed with skyscrapers and entertainment districts. Times Square, a famous tourist spot, is bustling with photographers and performers. Located not far from Times Square is the Times Square 42nd Street station. This time, I will introduce the 42nd Street Shuttle, designated by its gray line color and S in its name. It runs directly under 42nd Street to Grand Central Station. New York subways are designated by their line name, not by their route name. At this station, all trains departing and arriving at the same platform are grouped by the same color, resulting in a total of 4 platform areas, with the 42nd Street Shuttle occupying one of them. The entrance is located south of Times Square, a short walk away. Because it's in the center of the city, there are other lines nearby. Depending on the line, it may be faster to walk directly to the station rather than transfer along the way. Unlike the bustling Times Square, the area around the entrance is less crowded. As you go underground, the noise from above recedes, and it's surprisingly quiet. There are no station staff at this gate. Although other lines' platforms are connected within the station, these lines have separate ticket gates, so this gate is often empty. There is an elegant decoration overhead related to the history of the 42nd Street Shuttle and the station. Times Square Station is also served by the red, blue, yellow, and purple lines. Unlike these, the 42nd Street Shuttle only operates on one section. While most other lines have multiple tracks, the 42nd Street Shuttle only operates on one section. The 42nd Street Shuttle stop is located at the back left after passing through the ticket gates. As it's getting later in the day, passenger numbers are dwindling. The New York subway is known for its poor safety. While conditions have improved since its worst, passenger numbers still drop at night. There are homeless people and vagrants in stations and on trains, and the 24-hour subway is convenient for them. Continue through the concourse. Track 1 is directly ahead, with the tracks ending just where they intersect with the transfer lanes. There are also tracks on the left side of the platform, and these are the 2 tracks for the 42nd Street Shuttle. While the New York City subway is unique in that it operates 24 hours a day, the 42nd Street Shuttle does not operate between midnight and 6 a.m., so passengers should take the parallel 7 line during that time. A train is arriving on the adjacent track. This track, next to Platform 1, is Track 4, not Track 2. The numbers are discontinuous, and there's a platform between the 2 tracks. Further in the foreground, 2 significant white lines line up on either side. As you can see, there used to be 2 tracks between tracks 1 and 4. The combined 4 tracks are next to each other, and there was no platform here at the time. Why were the 2 tracks buried, and where were the platforms originally located? The history of the 42nd Street Shuttle and the 2 stations at either end is more chaotic than you might imagine. Here's where the 42nd Street Shuttle is located. It runs right in the heart of Manhattan. The 42nd Street Shuttle is part of the section of the first subway line that opened in New York in 1904. At the time, the lines connected at both ends, turning at right angles at Times Square Station and Grand Central Station, and crossing different streets. The 42nd Street Shuttle's sections were not independent and generally operated as a through service. Here's the track and platform layout from that time. Most New York subways, including those opened at the time and those built later, are quadruple tracked. Separating local lines and express lines shortens travel times and increases the number of trains. With 2 tracks for each direction, many lines can operate 24 hours a day. However, the number of trains decreases late at night. Some routes are not operational, and routes that normally operate as express trains may become local trains. They are often suspended during the day for maintenance work and other reasons. In such cases, you'll need to take a local train in the opposite direction, transfer to an express train, and then return to your original direction. Platform layouts vary considerably from station to station. Some stations allow transfers between local and express trains on the same platform, while others have 2-story local and express tracks and even more unusual layouts. Some routes even operate across different lines during the day, and while it takes some getting used to, the benefits of speedy travel across a huge city are significant. The 42nd Street Shuttle originally operated this way, which is why it had 4 tracks. Grand Central Station has platforms for both express and local trains, while Times Square Station only has a platform for local trains. This is due to the differences in the positioning of the 2 stations at the time. Grand Central Station houses both a subway station and a suburban terminal. Metro North Railroad, which operates suburban trains, is a subsidiary of the New York Metropolitan Transit Authority, which also owns the New York City Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which operates the subway. While the 2 companies share the same parent company, the trains and lines are different in specifications, so there are no through services, and the station ticket gates are separate. Metro North Railroad's Grand Central Station is a massive facility with 44 platforms and 67 tracks, all of which are underground. It opened in 1871 and was already a major terminal by 1904 when the section corresponding to the 42nd Street Shuttle opened. As a result, subway stations were designed to accommodate both local and express trains. In contrast, when Times Square Station opened, it was less important and was intended for short-distance travel. This is why its platform is only for local trains and is not designed to accommodate express trains. Furthermore, while the platform at Grand Central Station is straight, the platform at Times Square Station at the time of its opening was located in the middle of a curve and was short in length. Differences in platform location and specifications are evident in many aspects. This operational model came to an end 14 years later in 1918, when the Lexington Avenue Line and Broadway and 7th Avenue Line were extended as part of the expansion of the rail network. This would allow for separate lines under 2 streets, allowing for greater passenger capacity. As a result, the section between Grand Central and Times Square stations was separated into 2 separate shuttle lines. The original stations were dedicated to the shuttle, and new stations for the Lexington Avenue Line and Broadway 7th Avenue Line were constructed. Furthermore, the Lexington Avenue Line station on the east side was farther from the existing station, with the end of the platform about 120 meters away, so the shuttle line tunnel was extended and a new station was constructed. The shuttle resumed service on August 1, 1918, but the new station was not completed in time, so a temporary platform was built over the old station's tracks. However, due to the high number of passengers and worsening congestion, the authorities issued an order to suspend service the following day. The 42nd Street Shuttle resumed service nearly 2 months later, on September 28th, with the old Platform 2 track between Times Square and Grand Central covered, and the tracks between the stations removed. The extended tunnel at Grand Central Station never had tracks or platforms built, but was instead repurposed as a connecting passageway. A series of improvements resulted in the current track configuration. Tracks 1 and 3 are now a set, while track 4 is a single track. The tracks are usually used independently, with 3 parallel shuttle lines. Additionally, since there are no vehicle maintenance facilities along the 42nd Street Shuttle line, each line connects to either the Broadway 7th Avenue line or the Lexington Avenue line. Track 4 connects to the Broadway 7th Avenue line on the west side, while tracks 1 and 3 only connect to the Lexington Avenue line on the east side. This is due to the layout of both tracks. By connecting to the easternmost track of the Broadway 7th Avenue line on the west side, interference with other tracks is avoided. On the east side, the line connects to the westernmost track of the Lexington Avenue line to prevent interference with other tracks. This is the optimal method for avoiding major changes to the tunnel. The Broadway 7th Avenue line has a simple connection. The Lexington Avenue line has a complex layout, with later tracks branching off from the tracks to the 42nd Street Shuttle. Due to structural reasons, a movable sidewalk was installed on the Platform 4 tracks at Times Square Station, allowing passengers to walk normally and only removing the sidewalk to move the trains. The Lexington Avenue line on the east side, the Broadway 7th Avenue line on the west side, and the 42nd Street Shuttle were originally the same line, and the train specifications remain the same to this day. New York City's subway routes are designated by both numbers and letters. This is a remnant of the time when the subways were originally operated by different operators. New York City merged its services in 1940, but the system had already taken root, so no fundamental changes were made, and it remains the same to this day. The tracks themselves are connected in some places, and in the past, small cars sometimes ran directly onto larger lines. However, passenger trains no longer run directly between them. The reason, the 42nd Street Shuttle uses an alphabetical name despite being a small car line, is largely because it is a single-section shuttle line, distinct from other lines. Incidentally, the Lexington Avenue line on the east side was the only line running north-south through the east side of Manhattan for many years. Thanks to its quadruple track, it is the busiest urban rail line in the United States. With an average daily ridership of 1.3 million, it surpasses the ridership of urban rail systems in major cities like Chicago and Boston, demonstrating its monstrous potential. In 2007, its ridership surpassed that of the Washington, D.C. subway, and construction of a new parallel subway line has begun. We plan to release a video exploring the line's chaotic history, so please wait a moment. Back to the 42nd Street Shuttle. In 1927, the Flushing line, the Route 7, was extended. This line runs east-west through Manhattan and connects the eastern suburbs. It's a major route with a high volume of local and express trains during rush hour. On the first day of operation, passenger numbers on the 42nd Street Shuttle were halved, helping to alleviate congestion. Initially, 2 of the 4 tracks between Times Square Station and Grand Central Station were planned to be used for the Flushing line and the remaining 2 for the 42nd Street Shuttle. However, a new tunnel was ultimately dug. The Flushing line tunnel is deeper than the other lines, making transfers significantly longer. A turning point for the 42nd Street Shuttle came in 1998, when major improvements were made to Times Square Station to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, enacted in 1990. This required narrowing the gap between the trains and the platforms and installing elevators, but this proved extremely difficult at Times Square Station. While the wiring diagram is drawn as a straight line for simplicity, the actual platform was located in the middle of a curve. Furthermore, the existing platform was short, making it impossible to extend it forward or backward due to the construction of buildings above ground. Therefore, the new platform was built between tracks 1 and 4. Containing the facilities within the existing tunnel also aims to avoid excavation work in central Manhattan. The entire platform was moved eastward so that its eastern end would overlap the straight section. This prevents unnecessary gaps between the train and the platform, making it easier for wheelchair users to board and disembark. While some stations have mechanisms that move the edge of the platform to close the gap, straight platforms are clearly more convenient. While the existing platforms were 4 or 3 cars long, the new platform will accommodate 6 cars, allowing for a certain level of capacity to be maintained even with one less track. There were originally tracks on the proposed site for the new platform, and pillars between each track were located between the tracks. These pillars have been partially relocated to avoid obstructing boarding and disembarking. Plans were drawn up in 2006, but the project was delayed due to a lack of funding. The construction was completed in 2021, and during this process, Track 3 was also closed, resulting in the current operation of Tracks 1 and 4. The movable walkway at Times Square station was also removed, improving passenger safety. Technically, the walkway over the tracks remains, but we'll discuss that a little later. An explanatory plaque summarizing the entire process can be found near the stairs at the end of Platform 1 at Times Square Station. There is also a floor plan of Times Square Station showing the original platform in gray, the area filled in during the 1917 renovation in yellow, and the area filled in during the renovations up to 2022 in navy blue. The original platform was located directly under the road, which meant it was misaligned from the tracks. It is also clear that the two platforms were connected by an underpass. The entire platform is curved, and it is clearly visible that the original platform could not be extended due to the buildings on both sides. The Times building here is the origin of the name Times Square. This is the headquarters of the New York Times Company, publisher of the New York Times, one of America's leading newspapers, and has an entrance directly connected to the station. Times Square itself once had a different name, but was renamed Times Square in April 1904, just over 6 months before the station opened, following the company's relocation. While the New York Times Company headquarters subsequently moved to another location, the name of the area and the station remain. Near this information board, there is a replica of the original 1904 wall, restored during renovations until 2022. The number 42, for example, is made of small mosaic tiles, giving it a dignified appearance. Let's take a closer look at Times Square Station. The original platform will no longer be used during renovations until 2022, and the old platform on the Platform 1 side has been incorporated into the concourse. The old platform on the Platform 4 side is removed from the traffic flow and is usually closed to passengers. The facility itself remains, and a faint light can be seen shining from the right side of the tracks. If you go a little further, you can just make out the edge of the platform. The steel beams are spaced closely together, making them difficult to see unless you're quite close. The bright area to the left of the tracks is where the old Platform 3 was filled in during renovations scheduled for 2021. That area is at the end of the platform, but passengers are not allowed in due to a partition. Looking at this area again, it's clear that the tracks once stood between the pillars. By the way, there's this nearby, a sign indicating that rat poison is nearby. Because the New York subway is home to many rats, poison bait is regularly placed there. Small black boxes are often placed in corners of the floor or walls containing poison bait. While the poison is placed to keep passers-by out of direct contact with the chemicals, there are warning signs warning children and pets not to touch them. Let's head toward Grand Central Station along the 42nd Street Shuttle platform. The two sets of white double lines at our feet are replicas of the old Platform 2 and 3 tracks. The real rails are slippery and dangerous, so they're made with tiles to resemble the original. Only the row of pillars that once stood between platforms 2 and 3 on the front right of the image remains, a dense row of thin pillars. The pillars next to platforms 1 and 4 were relocated, making them difficult to use in their original state. The new pillars have been deliberately placed closer to the tracks, effectively utilizing the platform's width. This is the end of the platform. There's a connecting passageway to the Orange Line platform, which appeared discreetly in an earlier scene. It was installed as part of the renovation of the 42nd Street Shuttle's Times Square station and began operation in September 2021. Above the passageway, the steel beams of the tunnel are visible, revealing the reuse of the former railroad tracks. While the New York subway has many connecting passageways, this one is unique in that it passes through the 42nd Street Shuttle platform. The 42nd Street Shuttle does not operate between midnight and 6 a.m., and the platform is closed, so this connecting passageway is also closed during those hours. This is indicated on the route map by a 5-line asterisk, and the legend also notes this. On the other side, Track 4 connects with the Broadway and 7th Avenue line. Here is a video from a northbound local train on the Broadway and 7th Avenue line. Shortly after leaving Times Square station, the old line's tunnel appears behind and to the right of the train. As it is used as a business space, it is brightly lit and you can see what appear to be staff members. Unlike the newly constructed platforms, the pillars between the old tracks 3 and 4 have not been relocated in this area, leaving only a row of thin pillars. The retractable bridge over track 4 remains, albeit in a modified form. The New York subway often has graffiti on the tunnels between stations, making this a truly New York-like location. The 42nd Street Shuttle also features distinctive rolling stock and operation. The R62A rolling stock is used on the 42nd Street Shuttle. While there are R62s without the A designation, they were manufactured by Japanese company, while the R62A was manufactured by Bombardier of Canada. They are compact, measuring 8.60 feet wide and 51.04 feet long, with 3 doors per side. Before the renovation, platforms 1 and 4 operated with 3 cars, and platform 3 operated with 4 cars. After the renovation, 6 cars were used. The R62A series was introduced in 1985 and is also used on other routes. However, the 42nd Street Shuttle cars are different from others in that they feature full-page advertisements on the sides of the cars. The control system is resistance control, which causes a loud noise and hot air to blow from under the floor. Another notable feature of these cars is that all seats have been removed except for the ends. This was remodeled to increase capacity due to the high passenger density during rush hour. There are fewer seats on the right side toward the end of the car, with a maximum of 12 seats per car. The R62 series originally had driver's cabs at both ends of the car so that it could be operated as a single unit. Although the train configuration was later fixed for streamlining purposes, the driver's cabs themselves remain. Because the driver's cabs at both ends of the train span the entire width of the car, the leading cars on each side only have 6 seats. Note that in the New York subway, moving or entering between cars is prohibited except in emergencies. The safety devices on the outside of the train are there to prevent passengers from falling off the platform. There is no canopy covering the gangway, nor is it there to prevent passengers from falling off the train while it's in motion. Let's go to Grand Central Station. There are drivers at both ends of the train, with one driver at the front and one conductor at the rear, depending on the direction of travel. Trains run every 2 to 4 minutes during weekday rush hours and every 5 minutes at other times. On weekends, trains run every 5 minutes during the day and every 10 minutes early in the morning and late at night. Having drivers at both ends of the train eliminates the need to move between locations when changing direction, allowing for closer train intervals. Tracks 1 and 4 are separate, which prevents trains from crossing paths and allows for closer train intervals. For a while after leaving the station, visibility is somewhat limited due to the connecting walkway that utilizes the former Track 3 site mentioned earlier. Once past that, there's no separation between the adjacent tracks, allowing for the gleaming rails of Track 1 to be seen. The former Tracks 2 and 3 are now used as storage areas for materials in some areas. The maximum speed is 30 miles per hour, and the journey between stations takes approximately 90 seconds. We arrive at Grand Central Station. Track 4 is located toward the rear of the second from front car. There's a connecting walkway near Times Square Station, and the platforms for platforms 1 and 4 are offset. Tracks 2 and 3 were filled in to create the platform, just like Times Square Station. However, since there was a platform between the local and express tracks when the station opened in 1904, the platform is wider than at Times Square Station. While the platform has been beautifully renovated, the slight slope, the separate pattern on Platform 3, and the different colored floor tiles suggest some later construction. The word Grand Central is written in mosaic tile on the wall. Are the walls on both sides of Grand Central Station original to the station's opening? Unlike Times Square Station, there is a walkway at the end of Platform 4 connecting to suburban stations blocked by a fixed walkway. The misalignment of the stops is clearly visible near Times Square Station, which I had only seen from the train window earlier. There's a row of pillars in the center of the platform and 2 rows of pillars on both the Platform 1 and Platform 4 sides, suggesting the original platform layout. From Track 4, you can see the lights of the Times Square Station platform in the distance. On the other side, Track 1 extends further ahead, connecting with the Lexington Avenue line. The tunnel is completely unlit, and the Lexington Avenue line, where it merges, is far away, making it impossible to see what's going on in that area. Here's a video of a train heading from Grand Central to Times Square. Because the one-way trip is only about 90 seconds long, there have been repeated proposals to improve the 42nd Street Shuttle section, including a proposal to replace it with a moving walkway. There was also a proposal to provide 3 speed levels, 3, 6, and 9 mph, with seats on the fastest sidewalk, but this was ultimately shelved. There was also a proposal to discontinue the 42nd Street Shuttle and allow direct service between the Lexington Avenue line and the Broadway and 7th Avenue line, as was the case before 1918, but this was also shelved. Plans to extend the 42nd Street Shuttle were also shelved due to the need for tunnels between the Lexington Avenue line and the Broadway and 7th Avenue line. In January 1962, a demonstration experiment of automatic operation began on the 42nd Street Shuttle. Since a driver was on board during the experiment, it was not driverless. If all went well, it was planned to expand to other lines. However, in April 1964, a train derailed, causing an electrical short, halting service on all 3 lines. Another day, a train caught fire, spreading to the wooden platforms at Grand Central Terminal, causing a temporary suspension of service. The shuttle remains manually operated. Due to the New York City Transit Authority's financial difficulties, the 42nd Street Shuttle's 24-hour service was discontinued in September 1995. Let's go along the connecting passage to the Lexington Avenue line. Here too, the former tunnel has been repurposed and some of the pillars between the tracks remain. Further ahead, a tunnel originally dug to bring the 42nd Street Shuttle platform closer to the Lexington Avenue Line platform has been repurposed as a connecting passage. As mentioned midway through the video, no tracks were laid through this tunnel and no platform was ever built there. The entire area, except for a small section on the right, is a connecting passage, clearly illustrating the planned layout of the tracks and platforms. The passage associated with the 42nd Street Shuttle ends here, and, like at Times Square Station, there is a door that can be used to close off the platform. While the Broadway and 7th Avenue line at Times Square Station is on the same level as the 42nd Street Shuttle, the Lexington Avenue line at Grand Central Terminal is one level below. Looking left from a soundbound Lexington Avenue line train, the tracks swerve left after leaving the station and continue straight for a while. The reason the train doesn't pick up speed is because the tracks from the 42nd Street Shuttle are located behind this wall and merge with it. There's a switch where the wall ends and the tracks from the 42nd Street Shuttle are straight, and this track merges with it, causing the train to sway at the merge point. This explains why the train doesn't pick up speed even when it straightens. Furthermore, because the site of the abandoned 38th Street station is just ahead, the distance between the adjacent tracks remains large for a while. The early subway systems had a policy of frequently establishing stations to attract passengers, resulting in short distances between stations, and other stations were closed as the number of trains increased. Most of the previous shots were filmed at night, so there were few people around, but the 42nd Street shuttle bus sees more passengers during the morning rush hour. At Grand Central Station and Times Square Station, the forceful disgorgement of passengers from arriving trains gives a glimpse of their imposing presence. The renovations at both stations will continue for a little while longer. In the fourth quarter of this year, new stairs and escalators will be installed on the Flushing Line platform at Grand Central Station, and the widening of the stairs on the Lexington Avenue line and renovations to other station buildings will also be completed. These renovations are not limited to improvements to the 42nd Street Shuttle. They also include major upgrades to 2 downtown stations. The 42nd Street Shuttle, which connects Times Square Station and Grand Central Station, 2 of New York's most important stations, is undergoing new developments and continues to support New Yorkers today. Thank you for watching.